Well, welcome to the 67th Sydney Film Festival virtual edition and awards. And we're going to have a discussion about the wonderful film Kids Run, which is playing in our program Europe Voices of Women in Film. And we're delighted to be joined by the director, Barbara Ott, on my left, to the left of the screen, and to the right of the screen, the producer, Gabriele Simon. Welcome, both of you.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a big honor for us. Thank you.
It's a fantastic film. I'm really so very impressed by the film, and it's only sad that you can't be here with us in Sydney to join us. But we're very delighted to still be able to present the film to our audience in this virtual way. And we're going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to begin by saying, and I mean this in a very positive way, it's a very unusual boxing film. And it's a very unusual love story. I want to focus at this moment on more the boxing film aspect of it, because unlike most boxing films, we're not really that concerned with Andy's progression as a boxer, what happens to his boxing career. But why was it important for you to have this component of the film, that Andy is a boxer trying to make this comeback?
Well, we were thinking about how can we put this aggressions and the passion and his strength into the movie, and into his fight for love, and into his fight for to stay the father for his children. And so I think to somebody or to see somebody boxing is a way to impress these big emotions and the strengths and the aggressions. Yeah.
What's fascinating about the film for me is that we see this character really living in poverty. And while this happens everywhere in the world, and Germany included, we don't often see this in German cinema. A film about someone on the economic margins. Why is it this focus in the film?
Well, when I was younger, I had a friend. I was very young. I was like 5 years old, and I had a friend, and he was from a poor family, he was a Sinti Roma child, and people considered him with a lot of prejudices. And I think this is the main reason why I wanted to make this movie, to show somebody who we consider with a lot of prejudices, who has a lot of struggles in life, who don't have money, and but who think, or who feels the same way we do. So he loves his children. He loves still his ex-girlfriend. He's fighting for that. Yeah.
I mean, he's quite a scary character, Andy. And he's our hero of the film. He's an unusual hero. And there are two scenes in particular that I want to ask you about. One very early on in the film, where he force feeds his son at the table, and it's quite a scary moment. And then, of course, the scene with the cat. Those are two quite risky scenes, because perhaps you risk really alienating Andy from the audience, making him quite an unsympathetic character. I mean, I still found myself rooting for him at the end. But can you tell us about those two scenes and how you thought of them, and what they contributed to the overall picture of Andy?
So the cat scene, he's so full of hate for the mother of the children. He wants to hurt her. So he cannot beat her. He wouldn't do that. So he just takes he cannot understand how she reacts. He cannot understand what she were doing to the children. So she left them alone for a weekend, and so actually he wants to hurt her. And one of his problems is that he often he doesn't think about. So he's controlled by his emotions. He it's not like that he's thinking and that he's doing something. So he first feels and then he just reacts.
He doesn't think about the consequences.
He doesn't think about the consequences a lot. Yeah. And the scene with the guy, I wanted to show. I want to show like one side of Andy, how he treats. So he can be very lovely and very soft to his children, but it is the sausage scene with the sausage is in the very beginning of the movie, and I wanted to show a character who is a little bit too aggressive to his children, so to make it not so easy for the audience to love him. Yeah. You know, so we are like considered, or we are like confronted with our own prejudices about him. And in one of these scenes, we think, oh yes, he is an evil guy, and we have to take the children away from him. But when the film's going on, I hope we realize that he's really a lovely guy and that he has a heart and that he is a soft guy, a very sensitive guy, actually.
Yeah, and it's a tremendous performance by Janis Nivona. Can you tell us about how you decided on this actor? I think it's an incredible performance because he's in almost every shot, if I recall correctly, and he really is scary at times and gentle at times. We distrust him, but we're also rooting for him at the same time. He's able to convey these very different emotions and kind of interact with the audience in a very complex way. Could you tell us about him and how you selected him for the role?
Yeah, our casting director is Simone Bear, and we had a real big casting process and met a lot of young guys. So some actors and some non-actors, but Janis was always like an idea we had that we wanted to work with him, but we were thinking maybe he's too young to have 3 children. And I think he was shooting something, so he was the very last guy we were casting from about maybe 50 or 60 something. And so he was the very last, and he came into the room, and it was like he was Andy. Everything on him was Andy, and he was not too aggressive, he was not too loud, he was not too soft, he was not too broken. He was like this mix between the perfect Andy guy, the mix between softness and toughness, you know. And yeah, I don't know, and he was so great with the children, and it was like so I was always thinking, how can he act, and how can he know something about this character, although he didn't experience it by himself. And our casting director told me that she thinks he has an old soul. That's the reason why he plays.
And the child actors are also quite phenomenal, because I want to ask you about how you selected them, and also about how you prepared them, because there are some moments in the film that I imagine would be very scary for them when Andy is really threatening. How did you prepare them for those particular scenes? And can you tell us about the interaction between Janis and the child actors?
Yeah, so the children and Janis, they loved each other. It was like a real family. And Giuseppe, the boy, he was in the very first casting, and I was totally in love with this guy because he's so natural, and So I took him with me over several weeks, like every weekend, to a lot of recasts with girls, with sisters, no? And we always, and I had like the scenes you see in the film written for children. So I wrote the scenes um, like the children feel, and and then we just were playing, you know. So I grabbed Giuseppe and I was just throwing him onto a sofa. You know how you play with children.
Right.
So he had a lot of fun, and actually we did the same during shooting. Janis and Giuseppe, they were just playing like children do, like a dad and his kids or his children play.
So the child actors weren't really aware of the scariness of those scenes, perhaps.
Also Sie ganz
ob Sie sich der Gefahr bewusst waren oder des Inhalts, des krassen Inhalts, wie Sie das gemacht haben?
Yeah, they were. I told them exactly the scene. Yeah, they knew everything, and I spoke with them. On the one hand, I spoke with them like I did with adults. So I took them seriously. So I took them serious, and so they knew about how the children would feel in a situation like this. Yeah, and on the other hand, we were playing at the same time.
I think what's wonderful is. Oh, please go ahead.
We first started, like Barbara said, in a playful way in the casting, the scene where Ronnie is thrown onto the couch, and we did it in a playful way, but then we also talked with them about what the scene is about and what they feel and what this feels like for the kids, how they react. And also we had a special coach, like a children's coach beforehand, and talked a lot with the parents, with the kids. And so they understood the scenes, but felt comfortable. They felt like in a protected way, because Janis is such a sweet and lovely guy, and there was a lot of trust from the kids towards Barbara and Janis. So they never. They had fun experience these feelings and yelling and being able to do stuff that they wouldn't normally do in their everyday life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think what you capture very beautifully is this unconditional love that the kids, even though they're going through some really tough times and they notice that not everything is perfect, that there is this incredible tenderness between the characters and indeed between Andy and Sonia as well. Even though things are not going perfectly in their relationship, you've conveyed so wonderfully this deep connection between all these characters, and I think that's an amazing achievement.
Thank you very much.
So the film had its world premiere in Berlin, of course, and it's a tough time for films that had their world premiere in Berlin. I want to know, how have your plans been affected and changed? Are you still optimistic that the film will find its place in the world?
Yes. It already found its way to Australia. So. Yes, I feel very honored to show it in Australia, and I feel very honored to have the world premiere in Berlin at the Berlinale. Of course, it's a pity that so many festivals were cancelled, and we wanted to we planned to have our cinema premiere in November. So I'm not really sure if cinemas gonna start until then. So, yeah. So the plans changed a lot, actually.
Yes.
Well, So we're holding on to the plan, opening in theaters in Germany at the end of November. But we will see in the next few weeks, because the first cinemas will open in Germany soon, like in summer, I think in July. And so we will see, and also what the competition is. You know, a lot of films come into the theaters, and so but we are confident that we'll make our way.
Well, thank you both so very much for spending this time with us and for making time to do this Q&A. And we really wish you all the best with this really amazing film. And we hope that in the future, we'll have the opportunity to have you in Sydney with your next film.
Yeah, I hope so too. And thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.
All the best from Berlin.
Thank you.